I remember one of our first episodes, you came on and we talked about anti-Semitism, and I've quoted it many times. You talked about how, well, the thing is, Jews, they don't count. They don't rate on the DEI scale. And we're, noting it. It's not like you were an activist. We have to join the DEI crowd. We belong. You were even back then going a different way, which is DEI is pernicious. This ideology must be combated. And here we are in the wake of this massacre now, even the more liberal Jewish community starting to see it. So let me start there, because Michelle Goldberg has a piece today writing about this very thing, about how, there are a lot of former liberals who are becoming more conservative. Like, what?
I wonder
what is it? Do they not realize how awful their ideas are? Because this seems to be a thing. So is this a thing now more than ever? And if so, why?
Well, I'll give you a little anecdote, but it really typifies so many conversations that I've had over the past, it's felt like one day, but I guess it's been more than 2 months. I met a young woman, probably 28 years old, educated at all of the elite schools that are currently in the news. And she said to me, Bari, I went to bed on October 6th as a progressive liberal, and I went to bed on October 7th as a 70-year-old Republican. What happened to me? And, and so I think that the shift that's been happening in major parts of American life for a long time sort of has happened in a very, very rapid way inside large parts of the American Jewish community, which, it should be noted, is a pretty small community. It seems bigger than it is, I think, to many people, especially these days. But I think what she meant by that is that a lot of the assumptions that she had about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, but maybe also in terms of who she believed her allies were. She was talking to me about going and marching alongside so many different movements, so many different groups that are oppressed or that have had terrible experiences historically in this country, and thinking, well, of course those people are going to stand up with me. And all of a sudden, a lot of progressive Jews looked around on October 8th, because it was, remember, as soon as October 8th, that people were marching, so-called progressives, in favor of a death cult, Hamas. And they were saying, wait, these are my friends? These aren't my friends. These are people who are marching on behalf of a group, maybe in certain cloaked language, but fundamentally marching on behalf of a group that wants me and my family dead. So maybe it's time for me to reassess my own politics. And I think that experience is just what's happening, sort of began on October 8th. And as people are watching, the lie that anti-Zionism isn't anti-Semitism fall apart as basic Jewish symbols, like the menorah in Oakland, like the menorah in Berkeley, like at Yale, where a group of students, climbed a giant menorah and hung a Palestinian flag there. Sorry, convince me that isn't anti-Semitism. The burden is sort of on the people who are still trying to claim that there's a bright line between those two things, when obviously and very clearly there isn't.
Bari, why do you think 64% of the Black community is against Israel in this conflict, according to the latest Gallup poll?
Look, that's a much deeper, longer conversation that's hard to contain to a short answer. But I'll say one thing, which is that one thing that DEI has very successfully done is to create these extraordinarily crude racial categories, as all of us know, right? It's taken basic ideas of right and wrong and replaced them with a new power matrix. If you're powerful, you are necessarily bad. And if you're powerless, you are necessarily good. And everything that you do needs to be judged not by the merits or demerits, whatever that word would be, of your deed, but really just based on the identity of the person carrying them out. And so what this has done is several things. One, Jews do not fit in to a crude racial category of right and wrong, nor do we fit into a crude power category, because in certain ways, our community, at least in America, is very successful if you look at all of the statistics. And yet, why is it that so many people that we know are scared to put their menorah in the window this Hanukkah, including so many progressives and liberals that I know? Why is it that to go into any Jewish place in this country, I don't think most ordinary Americans, most Christians realize this, to go into a Jewish synagogue, you have to go through metal detectors and there are armed guards. And that has been the case not just for 10/7, that's been the case for a decade. Why is it that at the Jewish preschool, where my daughter will begin in a few months from now, it is more hardened than LAX? And that is because the Jewish community is both powerful and unbelievably vulnerable. And yet you have this ideology that says, nope, none of that matters. All of your history is washed away. You are now white people. Because the vast majority of American Jews, not the vast, but a large number of American Jews are Ashkenazi. They're of Eastern European descent. They look like me. They look white. They're white passing. Therefore, they benefit from white privilege. Therefore, they are white. Therefore, they are part of the oppressor category, despite 3,000 years of history that would indicate otherwise. This connects to your question because if Jews are understood to not just be in the oppressor side of the spectrum, but indeed something like uber white people, then it stands to reason that a lot of people who have bought into this ideology will come to see them as nefarious. There's another part of the ideology that I think is really important to point out, which is that it judges justice not based on equality of opportunity, but based on equality of outcome. And if you look at Jewish success, let's say in America, and you look at the inordinate number of Jews who have won Nobel Prizes or have succeeded economically or whatever, choose the category you want to choose, well, that's a little bit suspicious, right? Because any disparity of outcome has to be the result of systemic discrimination. Any disparity of outcome has to be some kind of conspiracy, is what this ideology suggests, which is why, of course, it's not just Jews that have been singled out, but Asian Americans who have had an unbelievable amount of success, at least when it comes to academic life. And so an ideology that suggests that any differences in outcome is somehow suspicious will inevitably lead to a politics that is suspicious and indeed hostile to the Jews. The last thing that I'll say is that this ideology looks at foreign conflicts that are enormously complicated. And indeed, in the question of the Israeli-Arab conflict or the Jewish-Muslim conflict, there's many ways that we could describe that conflict, is very, very deep. And it takes a crude American racial lens and dumps it on something that's happening 10,000 miles away. And it says, and this is what it stipulates, and it's really crazy to even say this out loud, but this is genuinely what it stipulates. Palestinians are like Black Americans before the civil rights movement. They are the oppressed. And the Jews, the Israelis, never mind the fact that the majority of them are people of color. They're of North African and Middle Eastern descent. None of that matters. They are like white Americans in the Jim Crow South. And that is what a large number of people who cannot locate Israel on a map, that have no idea what sea they're referring to when they chant or they post from the river to the sea, believe. Adding to that, and then I'll promise I'll stop talking, is the fact that there are prominent leaders in the Black American community in this country, like Louis Farrakhan, who for a long time have been legitimated and have more massive followings than I think a lot of people are comfortable to acknowledge.
The Megyn Kelly Show is supported by Grand Canyon University. Founded in 1949, GCU is a private Christian university that's dedicated to delivering an affordable and transformative higher education. Their vibrant campus is located in beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. And according to niche.com, it's ranked a top 25 best campus in the country. As of June 2023, GCU is offering 330 academic programs with over 270 online, allowing you the freedom to earn your degree on your time from wherever you are. You can do it in your pajamas if you want. At GCU, your degree, whether it's a bachelor's, master's, or doctorate, integrates the free market system and a welcoming Christian worldview. Learn more about GCU's programs, competitive tuition rates, and scholarship offers too from your university counselor. They're part of the supportive graduation team that takes a personalized approach to helping you at GCU achieve your academic goals, walking alongside you every step of the way. Find your purpose at Grand Canyon University. Private, Christian, affordable. For more info or to enroll, visit gcu.edu. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.